Okay, so I got time today because it's 102, supposed to be 102 degrees today in Sacramento, y'all. I didn't come out here for this. I literally just came out here to get this situation taken care of at the Department of Motor Vehicles. And that's why I'm here. But before we get to that part, because I'm hoping to make this only three, four at the maximum parts. Some of my nails. But anyway, I said to myself, it's a pool right downstairs. I don't necessarily have to go out. I could walk to the 7-Eleven, bring my ass back up in here. So I said, let's sit here. I got time. I ain't got no dogs to run after. My husband is taking the day off. I'm off his nerves. My daughter has school. So everybody's in their spots. Everybody's in their little zones today. Let me take time to go over this again with myself and record it for all intents and purposes because this is my version of how things happen. Now, someone could come on here later on and challenge any of these things that I'm saying, and you are more than welcome to. But I'm going to tell you my side. So part 2 of how we got here. So, of course, after the suspension of the license, you can't do much. And if you're trying to get any type of job, like we see now with future jobs that would come on later, like Lyfts and Ubers and truck driving, postal jobs, things that are going to give you some money, some shmonies, you can't do those things without a license. So the hustle in me said, okay, school, because I've been doing school. We could do school. I could just, I got to get this extra money somehow because I have one other child and we gonna make it. But that's not how things go because remember, I am in my addiction. So those 5 years, I'm in and out of county jail. And then one program was what I want to say, more of a conforming type program. And the second one that I went to was more of a social model program. I found that out later through my studies and my research. The first program I went to was called Centerpoint. And if you know about Centerpoint, you grew up in Marin. Okay. I did Centerpoint, but at that time, still about them streets. Because once I got on them streets, for them 4 or 5 years, I was on them streets. Now, I wasn't doing a lot of crazy stuff, but I was out there doing the hustle. Okay. Unbeknownst to myself, I, didn't know psychologically what I was going through until I went to jail. When I went to jail and I sat down and talked to one of the counselors and she asked me a series of questions and kind of was like hinting at, well, when did you start smoking marijuana? Like, because at that time they still were under the belief that it was a gateway drug. And I told her the marijuana wasn't an issue because I didn't have a habit of that. The reason we even got there was because baby daddy didn't go get my, excuse me, I wasn't supposed to say that word. Okay, the reason we got there was because he wasn't going to get my gardening supplies. So to get back at him, I took his schmugs and smoked them and then tossed some of them, right? And unbeknownst to myself, that created the addiction because I was able to feel the numbing that I was searching for. That's what it was. And I realized what it was. I knew that because with the gardening supplies, I don't have no problem with that. I still to this day do my gardening. Went back to that even after being in a program too. Went back to it. So I don't not sitting up here telling everybody go do that, but for me it worked. Because for me, it provided a sense of comfort and helped me with my anger. And my anger is not to lash out at anyone else anymore. If you catch me slipping, please understand that's a slip. That's Lynn, and she ain't trying to break through all the time. But anyway, got caught up, went to the program number 1. Stayed at program number 1 for almost a year. The person I was out on the streets with, we got caught up. Okay, that's a whole nother section. Okay, that's the Clyde. I was the Bonnie. Okay, nobody got seriously injured, but there was a little mini car chase on the Richmond Bridge. Okay, anyway, we went to county jail. They had an order that stated we cannot see each other because we got in trouble together. So it was like thermite. If you know what thermite is, understand. There was a little friction whenever we got together. We was a little pop. Got into some stuff. So in the first program, I didn't stay long because I got a job at Safeway. He found me. He called me. I left the program. I went AWOL, and when you went AWOL, especially if the county puts you in, if county probation puts you in the jail and in the program, and you don't do what they ask you to do, there's a warrant issued. So I was out there warranting, okay, running them streets in my mid-20s. Now my kids were with family. One was with my middle sister, and the youngest baby was with her daddy. The separation occurred when I went to a shelter with them, trying to clean up. But of course, he went back out there and got a bunch of shrugs, and wasn't doing what I wanted him to do, which was like, hey, spend more time with us, be a family, because this is what you wanted. So I took him. Once again, snatched him up. He left him. I took him. He came back. He was mad. He snatched the kids, left me in the shelter. It was a motel type shelter like this, except it was nicer. Like, it was bigger. Left me there. I couldn't pay the shelter bill because it was like not that much, but you only had to pay like $40, $50 like that a month. I couldn't pay it, so I had to leave. So I had to take all my stuff out and put it somewhere. It was just chaos. It was just chaos. And the kids, and he took both the kids that time. He took my daughter, and he took his daughter, he took both the girls, and he took them to his mama's house. The middle sister found out because, mind you, we're growing up in the same community, so everybody's talking, gossiping, whispering, doing what they fucking do best down there in Marin. She finds out, she goes to his mama's house, snatch my oldest child, leaves the youngest child there. Some would say, okay, she did the right thing because she was leaving her with her family. Like, okay, but they're sisters. I won't go back and talk about how I feel like that's a lot psychologically fucked with them, because that kind of broke that connection they would have had. And to this day, it's still kind of hard for them to get back right when they do fight. So I still feel like, anyway. That was the beginning of a lot of craziness when people were kind of thinking they were helping me, but just kind of jumping in and interrupting the flow, because I still think I could have had it under control. I mean, I could have went to this program that had me and my kids in a place. It would have had support system. I would have been going to therapy, which is something I stress to a lot of black folks. Vitamins and therapy. A lot of us need just those two things alone. Vitamins and fucking therapy. That's all you need. And maybe a little sweet. But vitamins and therapy, people, it's good for the soul. I've been going to therapy since I was 13, off and on, because I got in trouble before I even had kids. I was always that one. You could ask my mother. She loves to tell those stories of how I was getting into trouble. So that period of my life, that I want to say from 13 to 23, that was the curiosity, go crazy, adventure time stage for me. And I just happened to have kids during that time. So just think about it. And then when I did go back to therapy, when I was in custody, I found out that I was suffering from postpartum depression. And I did not know, and I did not understand that. And as a black woman, you look at this woman like, and this man, because it was a man, I have 2 different counselors. And they're like, hey, you had this child, you had a child, and back to back, you had cesarean sections with both of them, which is why we wasn't crazy about having a second child, because I had a cesarean with the first and a cesarean with the second. And then you find out that you're going to have a cesarean any other time you want to have a child. So even if you wanted to go and have a baby or a David or a Daniel, you got to get cut open for that? No. It took me almost 15 years just to heal from them fucking wounds. So being a mother, pushing out children, the struggle is real. It's not to make an excuse or to justify any type of behavior that we do as women, as a mother, excuse me. However, I think when we have a better understanding of what we're going through, what we're dealing with, then yeah, we can take the steps to be better. And I got to the point where I could understand that. Yes, going to the program, the first program, even though it was more of a stringent program and you had to follow rules and you had to be conformed to that, I learned things in that program. I remember things in that program that took me out, and those tools I used out in the world. When I went to the social model program, which was more of a Christian-based program, it was more religion and there was more church involved, I learned forgiveness. And that's what I went to that program for, was to learn forgiveness, because I was very angry at her father, the middle child, my mother, the father of my father, okay? I was angry at a lot of people. So, and how was that anger going to serve me? It didn't, but I didn't understand. I just knew that later on they told me, you have postpartum depression. Okay, so now I got to work that out, on top of being like a drug head, like a drug addict and an absentee mama, and being on child support now because my sister pursued it and decided somebody got to pay, because I'm getting, when that bill passed that you had to pay back child support, I'm gonna get child support. Somebody gonna pay it back, and that ended up being me.